Hi, I'm Bill Evenson, and here I am getting ready to be on this month's episode of Reality Bomb, which is being recorded live over Zoom while everyone is still sheltering in place during the COVID-19 pandemic. Last month, I couldn't take part because a wormhole sent me to an alternate reality. I've had to do therapy twice a day since that time. Anywho, I'm supposed to remind you that there may be some bad language in this, so if this isn't something you think is suitable for you or others that are listening, maybe just skip this episode. And now it's time to jump on the Zoom call. Oh, excuse me for a second. Hello? No! Damn it! They found me. The Kubliani Syndicate. They found... No!
On this edition of Reality Bomb, it's time to bare your souls and tell us all before the confession dial. We've got an ambulance that's being stalked by the cutest little creature you can imagine, and it's time to play this or that. All this plus listeners Q&A and much, much more on this, the 81st edition of Reality Bomb, recorded live on Zoom. It's the podcast that's still sheltering in place. Hello, everyone, and here we are again on Zoom for another special live episode of Reality Bomb. I'm Graham Burke.
And I'm Joy Piedmont. Here now are the people who will be spending time with us today. First of all, returning this month is our dear friend from Head Over Feels and the queen of comedy on Reality Bomb, Kim Rogers. Hi there, Kim.
Hi, guys.
Oh, look at this. She's got the bottle
I'm
already.
I'm ready.
So prepared.
3 o'clock, 10 after 3, it's time to start drinking.
I think we should check in periodically with Kim to see where in the bottle the level is.
It's also my
episode.
High Priestess bottle. It's New Zealand wine, of course. So yes, I'm ready.
Well, joining Kim this month is her compatriot on Head Over Feels, writer, fan, and Reality Bomb's resident review panelist, Sage Young. Hey, Sage!
Hi. I already started drinking while we were having our pre-show, so.
Eminently sensible.
Listen, anytime you're with Kim and me, it's like who is at, we're catching up with each other, and yeah.
It's a non-sobriety competition.
Yeah, basically. You've been there, you know.
Yeah, it's true. So what are you drinking today, Sage?
I'm drinking. Well, I just moved into a new apartment, which you can see, and my lovely friends, who are our lovely friends, gifted me some nice bubbly.
Ah,
so I have some sparkling rosé.
Excellent.
Fancy.
Yeah. I was saving for this.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd like to introduce the voice behind Black TARDIS and a fellow organizer for the recent Doctor Who Blackout, making her Reality Bomb live show debut. Please welcome Nicole Hill.
Yay!
Hello.
Hey.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you? Are you drinking, day drinking? It's a little early for you.
It's early. I'm doing coffee. I'm in coffee levels now.
That is fair. That is so fair.
Finally, we have someone without whom the Who Against Guns and Who for School efforts would have been a lot less good. Here's our great pal, Rachel Donner. Hey, Rachel.
Hello.
How are you? And
I am good. I am coming directly from my cousin's bar mitzvah via Zoom, so I have my Manischewitz here.
Oh, gosh. Graham, we haven't just heard what you're drinking.
Oh yes, I am once again. I am drinking the Macallan that I got for my birthday from my good friend Laurie Stewart, and I am drinking it. This is the more interesting part. I am drinking it in this mug. I'm going to try to see if you guys can see it. If it's not in focus, anyways, it
Can't
actually
read
says what it actually says is dum-ba-da-dum, dum-ba-da-dum, diddly-dum, dum-ba-da-dum.
No. Oh.
It's the Doctor Who theme. It was a poster that they made for the Museum of the Moving Image exhibit on Doctor Who for 1991, and I got it in 1997, and it is the oldest Doctor Who mug I own. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of it,
That's cool.
and it's
Nice.
a good Scotch too.
Impressive.
So,
That is
and
highly
what are you
impressive.
drinking, Joy?
I'm glad you asked. I have well, it's kind of like starting to get melty because I had to put ice in. I'm drinking a cocktail. It's a date old fashioned, and so a local restaurant sells these cocktails in a bottle.
Someone went to Bear Burger.
I did, and they're really cheap,
Yeah.
and it's very tasty. And I've been saving it for today because I was gonna drink it that night that I got it, and then I had restraint. So.
Oh, there's my cat, by the way.
Friend.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
So is everyone excited to be here?
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is very good. Joy, has Bill Evenson gone missing again?
I don't know, looks like it. Let's move on. Okay, everyone, it's time to play True Confessions. Bring out the confession dial.
What's your name? What's your game? Come now, boy, just spit your flow. Feel the pain, hit the game. What you trying to say, though? Novocaine to the brain. I can't feel nothing no more. In my lane, can't refrain from letting these people know. What's your name? What's your game? Come now.
Welcome to Confession Dial, which is an idea our pal Rachel Donner pitched as a panel idea for the last Gallifrey 1 convention. And we loved it so much, we're adapting it for Reality Bomb.
The rules are simple. Each of you is going to be asked to bring your Doctor Who related true confession. Your confession can be anything. You hate blank, or heaven forbid, you changed your mind and now like Danny Pink and think Clara was an asshole for treating him like that. Or it could be about fandom experiences like making a fool of yourself in the autograph line for Peter Davison, or what you blurted out to Paul McGann. Once all your confessions are heard, you will be given a penance. We'll come back to that later. Is everybody ready to bare their souls? Have you prepared yourselves?
Yes.
I have tried to search my soul. Yes.
We're all mentally ready and emotionally okay.
Emotionally, who knows? But
Yeah, you never know.
We'll see how this goes.
Okay, excellent. Rachel, since this was your idea, let's start with you.
Oh, no.
What Doctor Who true confession would you like to commit to the confession dial?
Okay, first off, 2 of the examples were ones that I provided to Graham and were mine, so I had to come up with another one.
Oh no.
I'll leave you to guess which ones. But that being said, I think my true confession is that for the life of me, I cannot make a mental connection with writers and showrunners from Classic Who. I watched Classic Who in the 80s as a kid, and I've rewatched it in later years, but I could not name writers, I could not name showrunners. I hear a name and I have no idea what era they're from. And it's stuff that I just should know. Like, I know the name John Nathan Turner. I've heard it. Ask me what episodes he had something to do with. Could not name a single one.
We're talking the entirety of the 1980s.
I know. But I didn't know it was the 80s until you just said it in my head. And it's horrible. It just, my brain will not absorb that information, despite the fact that I see it on the screen all the time. I hear it talked about at panels, and it's my secret shame.
Oh, I don't think that's shameful. That's kind of hard information to memorize.
It is. Sage, what is your deepest, darkest secret that you're now telling the confession dial?
Okay, so I'm kind of cheating because I literally have talked about this on Reality Bomb before, but it is the dumbest belief that I have about Doctor Who that I refuse to let go of, which is the Doctor is Bill's dad. Like, I cannot know of this conspiracy theory because it got in my brain the first time I watched the pilot. And it was just like, I think I was making connections because when you would see that kind of a storyline on another show and it would be like, oh my God, he like met her before. That is kind of where it would go if it were not Doctor Who. And so my brain just like made that connection. And for one wild moment was like, what? And then once I had that thought, I was like, I've kind of maintained it, even though I definitely know that it is not true. But when during Doctor Who Blackout a couple weeks ago, when we watched Knock Knock and she was talking to her mom, I was like, he's your dad? Like, it won't leave my head, and I know that it is incorrect, but I love it. I don't know. I can't help it.
Somebody is it incorrect though? Like, I think it's a very valid theory.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a valid theory for another show. It's not a valid theory for Doctor Who, but I just still like really still let go of it.
It's so funny because when I was watching Doctor Who Blackout, I was watching Knock Knock, and I had that going through my head. You know, look, he's helping her move just like a dad would.
Like a dad.
I was remembering everything.
Relationship does not have that relationship with Clara as much as some people would like to say. That's another story.
Yeah. All right then. Well, Nicole, what's your true confession?
Well, I'm gonna talk about a experience, fandom experience, but it's not. It's kind of, I'm cheating a little bit because it's not me, but I did it. You know, Ty got a chance to interview Tosin, and she was very shy about talking to him afterwards. And so we saw him at the autograph line. I was like, hey, my friend Ty, she interviewed you. She wants to say hi, but she's being very shy. And she was across from us, looking at books, but she just looked back like this. So it looked extra suspicious. So yeah, we just had a good laugh with Tosin about Ty being nervous, and now she hates me for it. But like, I don't know, it's one of my favorite experiences at the con and just in this fandom because like I got to meet Tosin, but also I just got to embarrass Ty, and she's gonna hate that I mentioned that, but I just wanted everybody to know that happened.
I love this story so much, but it also terrified me when you told me, and I thought, like, I mentally made a note, never tell Nicole anything.
No. It was only because she was acting so, like, if you could see, like, I wish I could, like, she looked back exactly at the moment. I was like, look at her acting like she's not even listening. And literally, the moment I said that, she happened to look back like this. And so it just looked like it was perfect timing. And it was just like, I literally, if she wouldn't have looked back, it wouldn't have worked. But she looked back at the right time. So it was just one of those things, like, you shouldn't have been over there acting like
so, like, Tosin Cole was so good looking, like,
it's like aggressively alive.
It's very disarming.
Yeah. Like,
that was tough. Yeah.
As Ty, I've never related more to Ty because it's like he's paralyzingly good looking.
Yeah, it was very hard to look at him. When we did the commentary, he was so tired. It was 5:00 in LA, so it would have been very late in UK time. And he just like was kind of like snuggled up on the couch that we were laying on. And every now and then I'd look over and be like, nope.
Oh.
Oh dear.
And he was also way too funny. Like,
okay.
No good-looking people like that should be allowed to be that funny.
Well, Kim, what is your true confession that you want to give to the confession dial?
I mean, everyone knows that has any familiarity with Head Over Feels knows that we are like shippers to the core.
I'm shocked by this
revelation. I created a playlist that we call Rose and the Doctor that has like, I think 1,000 songs on it now.
I'm gonna double check it while you keep talking.
So we're like diehard Rose and 10, but my confession now is that Clara and 12 have superseded them.
Oh.
I know. It's very dramatic. But I just like, I think about
1,000+ songs superseded.
I mean, you can also interpret all of those songs as 12 and Clara. Like, it's not a stretch. But I'm just like, 4.5 billion years in a confession dial. Haha, look what I did. To figure out a way to save her? Like, are you kidding? And like, in your face, Richard Dinnick, they're in love. Yes, I named him. And he kept pushing me that 12 and Clara were like grandfather and granddaughter, and I was like, yeah, like everyone just made the face.
Like,
and I was
nah.
like, no. So yeah, and also just like, maybe it's because technology is better now and stuff, but it's just like the fan videos for Hufaldi are better. They're like dark and twisty and angsty, like, which is just like, that's my shit. So yeah, 12 and Clara. Not by much over 10 and Rose, but they are over 10 and Rose.
I told Joy when you told me this, this has rocked me to my core, I have to say.
That is true.
The playlist, by the way, it's called Rose and the Doctor, and you can subscribe to it on Spotify, but it is 59 hours and 57 minutes long, and it is 911 songs.
Oh, we've got to get
We've
that.
been really lax about it recently.
It's true.
I know what I'm listening to the next time I have a 3-day road trip, clearly.
It's all real good.
It's very expansive, I will tell you. Lots of genres.
Graham, while you ponder life as you listen to that playlist, will your confession be on your mind, and what is it?
Okay, well, my confession is it's missing episode related. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, everyone. But okay, so missing episode aficionados, or as we call ourselves, missing people. No, we don't actually, but I just thought it was funny. There's an obsession with something called telesnap reconstructions, which is they take the off-air soundtrack that someone recorded by putting a tape recorder up to the TV back in the 1960s, and there's telesnaps of the program, which is a guy named John Cura photographed for his clients who are producers and actors. He photographed the actual show in progress. So it's like 15 or so photos. These photos are actually really super tiny. I've actually seen real telesnaps when I was at the BBC archives a few years ago, and they're really super tiny, and they're blown up to actually be shown. Anyways, enterprising fans have taken these telesnaps, and then they have put the soundtrack to them, and they call it a telesnap reconstruction. My confession is these are the most boring pieces of shit ever. I hate them. I can't stand them. They okay, so like Fury from the Deep, which is this 1967-68 episode of Doctor Who, it starts out and they've got these barely these blown up by 1200% photographs of super grainy photographs of the Doctor and companions on a dinghy, and the soundtrack is oh, Jamie, and you can barely make it out, and you're going, how on earth is this a substitute to actually, I don't know, listening to the cleaned up audio in the actual audio things, or an animated version or something else? Like, these are not actual, and half the time the telesnap reconstructions, they don't have enough telesnap, so they enterprisingly put in, photoshopped, still photos, or I think the one from Mission of the Unknown actually uses Vietnam footage because they want it, because it takes place in a jungle. It's just dreadful, and I hate them. And the thing is, every time I talk to someone about missing episodes, everyone says, "Oh, have you watched the telesnap reconstruction of this? They're really no, I haven't. Please leave me alone." So thank you. That is my confession. It was good to get this off my chest. Thank you.
Wow,
Arctic.
That was a lot.
I mean, the chat agrees with you. So.
Yeah, clearly, I was like, oh my God, I've never felt so
side.
seen in my life. So Joy, what confession do you have to bring?
Well, I struggled with this question because I think that in general, I'm pretty vocal about the things that I think. And also, if I have very strong feelings about something, I make them known, and or they're not necessarily super controversial. I'm pretty basic as a person. I do have one thing though that it's not a hill to die on, but it is certainly a confession to make. I don't think Sleep No More is that bad. It's just not that bad. It's fine. I'm not saying it's the best of the season, but for me, I mean, it's probably also getting graded, or it's getting the benefit of the fact that it's in series 9, which I love so much. One of maybe my favorite, entire string of episodes in the modern series. And I just can't hate it with the vehemence that some people do. I mean, my co-host on 5 Years Rapid, Kyle, he hates it more than pretty much anything else on this earth. I just don't feel like that. I think it's fine. I think I also have the sense memory of seeing it on a big screen in the movie theater, because they did a screening of it at the Moving Image, and it was okay. Like, you know, it was very ambient, like the sounds and stuff. It doesn't hold up necessarily, but it does not deserve the mantle of worst. I mean, like, have people seen The Two Doctors? That's truly awful. It's unwatchable. Sleep No More is fine. It's fine.
Robert Smith is just silently screamed somewhere because of your castigation of The Two Doctors.
It's awful. I'm sorry.
Well, the confession dial has heard all of your confessions, and some of them are truly disturbing. Probably mine most. Kim's totally disturbing. And now here is the part where you are given your penance, because we have a special guest. Here now is Alex Kennard, our brother confessor.
Thank you, Graham. Now, I should probably say that when you told me that you needed me to do this particular role, I actually went out and bought a book because I thought it would be important. You got to do these things properly, right? You got to make them work. And so I went and I found Ian Levine's little book of Doctor Who heresies and punishments.
Oh no!
Now, unfortunately, I could only find the expurgated version. So anyway. So we're going to go in here and actually look through this to get the proper punishments in. So beginning at the top, Rachel, with your inability to connect with writers from the classic series. I mean, I hate to tell you, but according to Ian, that is possibly the worst thing you could have ever said. And so your punishment is that you must at a convention find Eric Saywood and tell him exactly how much you adore John Nathan Turner.
The cool thing is, I don't know who Eric is.
You'll have to work that out. Otherwise, I mean, he's pretty angry in here when he writes about this. So just, yeah. Second, we had Sage, who was admitted that she has this theory about the Doctor being Bill's dad, which is just bizarre. What's going on there? What's going on? I don't know. Anyway, so weirdly enough, Ian has something to say about that as well. It's almost like he's got something to say about everything. Isn't that strange? Anyway, so he said that in penance for that, you must, let's see here, tweet once a day, every day for a month, a criticism of, Peter Capaldi's hair. So sorry about that.
No.
Yes, and he will be checking.
Account for that.
Yeah. He will be checking because he knows what happened here today. So third on the list was Nicole embarrassing a friend at a convention. I mean, Graham will tell you that I am very, very much against the embarrassment of friends. Do not take part in that at all. So your punishment here, as it's listed, is that you must, at a convention as well, while standing next to Ty, you must every day wear a shirt that says Adric for life. And once an hour upon the hour, you must yell, I love Matthew Waterhouse. Okay? These are strangely specific entries in here. It just feels incomplete, though. You know, like I mean, apparently the non-expurgated version has at least another 900 pages in it. So next was Kim and 12 and Clara. Sinners, awful. And this is actually quite a nasty penance you have to do, Kim. So be prepared. So apparently Ian says that you must pick one Doctor Who actor at a convention that you will talk to, and the rest you must very visibly blank for the entire convention. So good luck with that. I'm sure that will go well. Graham, this is.
You can't look favorably on Tell Us Now Pre-Construction Hate.
No, it doesn't at all. But it has a very weird penance attached to it, considering that Ian Levine is the author of this book as well. So apparently, your penance is that you must watch Ian Levine's animations, and that will help to remind you just how fucking lucky you are to have telestress. Finally, Joy, Sleep No More. Now, this penance, I'm afraid, actually, well, I'll tell you what the penance is, and then just kind of make an additional judgment on that. So, Ian Levine's penance for liking Sleep No More is that you must watch Cyberwoman 9 times in a row in a room with no distractions in it at all. So all you can do is watch Cyberwoman 9 times in a row. However, I agree with you. I actually quite like Sleep No More. Sleep No More, in terms of its script, is actually one of the best pieces of meta writing, in my opinion, that modern Doctor Who has done. So I'm going to say, you're good. You're fine.
How did I?
And that is that. Thank you, Ian.
Oh, goodness. Well, Alex, brother confessor, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I would stick around, but I'm afraid I actually have the annual Tight Jeans convention that I have to attend via Zoom in, oh, shit. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. They say confession is good for the soul. Not entirely sure of that now, although my penance is pretty easy, so I don't know. We'll see. I have conflicting feelings. Thank you, panel, nonetheless.
And what true confessions do you have when it comes to Doctor Who? Join in the conversation by sending us an email at realitybomb@smallstopproductions.com, commenting on our website at realitybombpodcast.com, or talking to us on Facebook or Twitter. Our handle for both is realitybombpc.
And that's all one word.
I can't sleep at night. I don't wanna fight. My best friend is I'm so selfish. Guess I'm in denial. Maybe I'm doing you right. Heard it all my life. I'm so selfish.
Hi, everybody.
Bye. Hey, before you go, Kim, I wanted to ask about the t-shirt you're wearing.
Oh, sure.
Travel, hopefully. Where does that come from?
Where does that come from? It's from Doctor Who. And in fact, it's set at the end of the lamest series finale the Doctor Who ever had. But that's not important because honestly, what the Doctor says just about makes up for the entire episode. None of us know what's out there. That's why we keep looking. Keep your faith. Travel hopefully. The universe will surprise you constantly. Does that speech not rouse the senses from the torpor of the Battle of Ranskor av Kolos? Does it not say something about the very mission of Doctor Who? Indeed, travel hopefully distills the very essence of Doctor Who down to 2 glorious words. Every episode we go with the Doctor and travel hopefully to new worlds, old times, and wondrous moments to face a universe of terrors and exciting adventures. We travel hopefully because no matter what monsters there may be, no matter what jeopardy the Doctor and the companions might face, no matter what ridiculous plot contrivance Chris Chibnall might throw at us, or Stephen Moffat for that matter, Doctor Who will make it through to the other side. Doctor Who will make it to hope. Because that's what we all need. Hope. And Doctor Who is, if anything, a show about hope, a show about optimism, a show that will make you say you can't be a bystander. If you show up and things are going wrong, you face it down. No matter how bleak, no matter how troubling, no matter if it's Orphan 55, because there is always hope. So travel hopefully. It's scary out there right now, but travel hopefully because the universe will surprise you, and there is hope everywhere. No matter what, you travel hopefully. For God's sake, just travel hopefully.
So it's Jodie Whittaker? I thought it might be Colin Baker.
Oh, no, it's definitely Jodie Whittaker.
Ode to a T-Shirt 2 was performed by Kim Rogers and Joy Piedmont.
Carrington Brothers. Oh dear. I mean, how do you do? Hmm?
I'm the Wire, and I will gobble you up, pretty boy.
Well. Daleks without the power to kill. How does it feel?
Keep away! Keep away!
Crow rose from the deep to protect us as people. Let us give thanks to Crow.
There are lots of surprises for the family at the greatest show in the galaxy.
That sound of a saxophone that's the epitome of chill and just hanging out means it's time for Gallery of the Underrated, where we ask a fan to present us with an example of an overlooked, ignored, or generally derided Doctor Who story from the past 50 years. Here, because she has more of a volume than a chapter of the Book of Celebrants, is Nicole Hill, a writer and Doctor Who fan and creator of Black TARDIS. Here's a clip from their selection. With us to talk about the 2017 Jodie Whittaker story, The Tsuranga Conundrum, is Nicole Hill. Nicole, thanks for doing this.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. So I have to say that we had Pam Brandeis, fan attorney herself, defend someone for liking this story at our live show in New York last October, because it is the lowest ranked story of Series 11. There's 11 stories that were ranked. It was dead last at 11. I think it had some kind of a rating of like 57% or something like that. Now, but the curious thing I found when I was researching that comedy sketch was it's 79% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So, and the mainstream media reviews of it were in the main positive. So why do you think there's this gulf between the fan esteem, which places it at a D, and the more general public, which is placing it at a solid B? Why do you think those two are so far apart?
I watched it by itself, like without being a part of the season, and it felt like something that even if I never watched the show, I understand all these characters, I know what's happening. I don't need a buffer. I don't need explanation. So I can see why if you just happen to cut on the TV and you saw this, it's just a good entertaining show. You don't really need the background. But fans, we have an expectation of like, okay, we want the story to be moving forward, especially by that point in the season. I think everybody was like, okay, what's happening here is at that point, there was like no consistent story for that season. So we're just like, this is fun, but like, we're not moving these characters forward. We're not moving this story forward. So I think it was because for the fans, we were looking for more like forward momentum with the characters and with the Doctor. And like a person that's just watching the show kind of casually, they don't need that. So they're just like, I'm entertained by this. This is like fun. They're in space. The ship is falling apart. There's this little gremlin running around. Like, it's very fun by itself. But when you take it, we put it in the context of a season where you're looking for an arc and a larger story. It's like, this is not serving a season-long arc. It's just kind of there. So I think that's what the disconnect is.
Okay. Now, what should we be paying attention to when it comes to the Tsuranga Conundrum?
So what I realized when I rewatched it was that there's like an issue with the show where there's like too many characters, and that was one of the episodes where that was like the first time I think we really were like, okay, do we need this many people on this episode? But that was one of the very few episodes where there's a good balance of that being that many characters, but we still get to see our characters. Like everybody's kind of talking to like everybody has the character, I guess. Like Yaz and Ryan get a moment together where they talk and kind of get to know them, especially with Ryan and his family. And we have like moments where the Doctor's alone and where Graham and Ryan are, like everybody's kind of separated, but we're getting moments with each character. It's not like one character is being put to the side so we can follow like a random. And I think that's what this episode does really well, actually. It's like we have a lot of characters, but everybody's getting time to shine equally, especially our characters who we're trying to get to know at this point in the series. And so I think when you look back at it, especially now, we have so many episodes where it's like, okay, we don't need this many additional people. But at that point, it's actually like, wow, they actually balanced all these characters really well. And you get a good story with, like, you get all this information about, like, I'm blanking on names right now. The pilot. She's sick. She's having all these problems, and her and her brother have an inner, like, you know, like issues. They haven't really gotten together, and this is the time for them to, like, I guess, come together and finally figure out their stuff. But that's, like, not taken away from the fact that, like, Ryan has issues with his father, and we're learning about that. And I don't know. I just feel like that's one of the very rare times in the Jodie Whittaker series that all the characters are balanced really, really well, and there's still, like, a fun story happening underneath it all, and it's not distracting from each other. Like, the story's happening, the fun stuff is happening, all the characters are there, and there's no, like, nobody's being put to the side in service of another character or another story.
So I want to read a short passage from a review of the Tsuranga Conundrum by Christian Bone on the We've Got It Covered website. He writes, the result of a meandering 50 minutes that lacks the cohesion of the episodes we've had to date this season. What's more, it's frustratingly simplistic. The return to straightforward plotting for this brand new era of Who, in contrast to Stephen Moffat's notoriously timey-wimey version, was absolutely the right decision. But here the plot stretched so thin that it damages the drama and the characters. For instance, this week the Doctor should have worked out that Pating wanted energy long before she did. The episode's ending also falls into a curious habit of season 11, as it once again essentially involves the Doctor hitting the story's off switch. In this case, putting a bomb from a draw and using it to send the Pating on its merry way. The continued dedication to depicting the Doctor as a true pacifist, always finding a way to fix a situation without killing her enemy, is to be admired, but it does mean there's rarely a big dilemma and an emotional heft to the adventure's climax. A lot of the negative reviews of the story focused on the fact that it's a bit simplistic and it doesn't completely engage and it's a bit inert. Do you find this is the case?
So I'm one of the maybe rare, I'm not sure, people who got a little tired of the complexity and the timey-wimey and the gotchas. It's like, I'm okay with just the story happening and ending, and like we had a good little 50 minutes. I don't mind that, actually. So for me, it was like, I was still at that point in the series, just I found it refreshing that we were not constantly trying to be like so clever that like all these things are happening. I like that it was just like, this is what's happening, and we all can follow the story, and then when the story's over, we're done. Like, there's no, I don't have to think about it much more, if that makes sense. So I didn't have a problem with that, but I could understand like why people would. And I think, again, coming from it as a fan, of course, we already have certain expectations, but I think it works so well because I could turn that on and like my mom can come and sit next to me, has never watched the show, and it's like an entertaining story that she can follow. And I think being able to follow a story has to have some kind of merit too, because everybody doesn't have time to keep up with shows, especially a show like this that, you know, that's what, season 11, like 11, that's just a new series. So like everybody's not, you know what I mean? Like everybody's not able to keep up with a story for that long. I mean, I've watched a few shows that last that long that are like a consistent narrative. And even me, I'm like, I'll take 2 or 3 year breaks and then binge on Netflix. I'm like, okay, I'm caught up. But like everybody doesn't do that. So I like that that story in particular, especially, it really just works by itself. Like even today, I was watching it this morning because I was like, let me double check. Like, let me make sure I'm not like misremembering this show, this episode. And literally my mom walked in, she's like, what is that? Oh, gremlin thing. Oh, he's kind of cute. And like she would come in and out and just kind of like watch. And like, and normally if I'm watching things with my mom, I have to explain things to her. Like she's one of those people. Like you just have to explain everything. And she is able to like pop in and out and follow that episode. And to me, I think there's something valuable in that because everybody doesn't have time to like invest into like a longer story. Like one nice, concise story works in that situation. And it was entertaining. I think it was entertaining. I thought like it was actually really much better. Like now I'm a couple years removed from when it aired, but like it's much better on its own than it is when you consider it as a part of the season. And I think that's what makes it like fun to me because I can just put it on and I don't have to like worry about like, oh, should I like have to marathon this whole season before I get to this point, or can I just pop it on? And I think it works really well because you can just throw it on just as a fun thing to have on.
Well, I want to play a short clip, and here we go. So the Pating is often seen as a liability to the story. There's a dissonance between this adorable Stitch-looking alien and the mayhem that's going on the ship. What do you think of the Pating?
I like it. I mean, I don't know. Like for me, that's the point. Like he's there, and it's like it's this cute little. I mean, cute is. I guess some people don't agree, but I think he's a cutie. He's like a cute little alien running around, just ripping his ship up, and they're having all these like real life problems. Like this man is pregnant. He's going into labor. This lady is dying. Like it's a lot happening, but it's like that he's the driving force of the story. Like without the Pating, there's nothing happening. They're just going to the station to go to the hospital. That's like really, that would be boring, right? Like you want something to be happening. And I think it's funny because he has no he actually doesn't care. Like it's just like, I'm eating, I'm hungry, I want to eat everything. And there's no you can't outsmart something that doesn't have a motive. It's like, I'm just eating. So to me, I think that's more fun than you trying to have machinations with somebody who's thinking and trying to outsmart the doctor or trying to outsmart all the characters. He's just like, I'm just trying to eat. I'm minding my business, I do what y'all do you and I'm gonna do me. And it's like, but it's casual, eating up the ship. It's like putting them in danger, but it doesn't care. It's not concerned about them at all. And I think to me, that's the funny part about it, or the entertaining part about it, because it's like you let a dog loose and the dog doesn't care what y'all are talking about. The dog is just like, I'm about to run around, I'm about to poop, I'm about to fight, everything, whatever. There's just a disconnect between the seriousness of what's happening, we're all about to die, and then this thing is like, I'm just hungry, I just want to snack. So I think that's the entertaining thing about it.
Well, this, as you've just identified, this is essentially a medical drama like ER or Casualty or something like that. It flashes between these different characters struggling,
right.
like Cicero's pilot heart, Yas's pregnancy, right. Mably's inexperience. What's your favorite plot line of all of those that are going on?
I really like I think the pregnancy thing is fun just because it's you don't have to think of it's one of those things it's so a basic thing to do that's that's an interesting story thing, but it's women, when we watch pregnant women on TV, we're just there's a pregnant lady, and it doesn't register at all. You don't think about it because it's just how it is. So I thought it was just fun that you have to put Graham and Ryan in a situation where they're the doula. I'm the doula. They would a woman would just be if you're a woman in that situation, on the TV show, they're always you're obviously going to help with you're going to deliver this baby because you're a female. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to deliver a baby, but it's never questioned really. So I thought it was just fun that Graham and Ryan in a situation to have to be how do we, we're not trained for this at all. They wouldn't have been trained for it even if it was a woman. That's the thing about it. That's so funny. It's they're just way over their head, period. But just to make it where you don't look at Yaz for that or don't look at the doctor for that. You look at the guys and you're y'all got to figure this out. Y'all help this man had his baby. To me, that's fun. And I really thought it was a little subversive, but not really. And it's just a fun way to kind of switch your mindset a little bit. Because if it was a woman, it wouldn't even be a plot point. It was she's having a baby, the women are going to help her. And you wouldn't even think about it at all. So I think that was just a fun little thing that they did.
You said earlier that this is a story where all the sort of players in it actually seem to be equally kind of have equal amounts to do. So, I mean, how do you feel that Yaz, Ryan, and Graham fare particularly in all of this?
This is early enough in the series where people are still kind of playing to their strengths that we know of from their Earth. Yaz is still the doctor's hey, Yaz, you're gonna protect the energy. Yeah, the antimatter engine. Right? And she got her gun, she's ready. And I'm that's the Yaz that you think we're going to get the rest of the time. Because she's actually trained to shoot a gun, I would assume. So she's still being utilized in a way that makes sense for who her character was on Earth, right? So she's the person that, she got her gun, she's ready to fight the Pating. She trapped the Pating. She punts it down the hall, which I thought was hilarious. I don't remember that at all for some reason, but she literally kicks it down the hallway, which is hilarious. But the doctor is already immediately looking at her I know that you got this. So it's you do this. She's not questioning at all whether these people can handle the things that they're doing. Again, with Ryan and Grant, y'all go deal with this, this delivery. And it's that's a very weird thing for them to have to do. But she's just you got it. Everybody's still just kind of playing to their strengths. Graham is very good at talking to people. He's very good at giving people just making them feel better about things. So it's of course he's in there, he's just being supportive even though he doesn't know what's going on. But that's who Graham is. He never knows what's going on, but he's always you know what? I don't know what's happening, but look, we're gonna we're gonna do it. We're gonna have a good time doing it too. We're gonna eat our sandwiches and like I think at that point everybody is still kind of just like falling into that kind of natural order, I guess, of whatever they were doing on Earth, and it's not really like we don't have to call a question to it. Like it just is like, yeah, it's just the one with the gun that's protecting the antimatter engine. Ryan is talking to the guy about being a dad, which is actually a really deep kind of character moment for Ryan because we know how he feels about his dad, right? But like we kind of lose it later in the season, so I don't think it stands out as much. But he has like he processes a lot of his relationship with his dad through his conversations with Yasmin about being a parent at a young age and not being prepared and not having a partner. And a lot of that is processed in like with that conversation, but you don't really, it kind of falls to the wayside later, or you don't really realize that much progress happened with Ryan at that point in the story. So I think that was another interesting thing that stood out to me when I rewatched it.
Now I'm going to offer a bonus review to quote from. This one's from Devin Coogan in Entertainment Weekly, and she writes, "It's Jodie Whittaker who salvaged the episode. When the Doctor first wakes up aboard the ship, she's so desperate to get back to her TARDIS that she doesn't even stop to realize that there are other people on board who need to get to their destination too. For the first time, she's forced to take a back seat and let others take the lead, from Astos exploring the escape pod to General Cicero piloting the ship home. It's the first time we've seen a hint of darkness and selfishness in this Doctor underneath the heroics. And I'm guessing it won't be the last." What did you think about the Doctor's involvement in this episode? It's sort of like one of the first evidences of the flat team structure kind of Doctor, as well as that sort of initial bit of selfishness at the start. What did you like about the Doctor in this?
I would say it's not selfishness or like the darkness. I actually think it was kind of coming off of like the Ghost Monument. The first time we see the Doctor really be scared, and like scared in a way that is not like bravado. It's just like, oh my God, where's my TARDIS? Like I just got the TARDIS back. I don't know what to do if I don't have the TARDIS again. So I think there was more like a fear of like this. This is the second time in like 2 weeks that we've lost the TARDIS. I have these people with me, like, and I think the Doctor being more open about just being scared, I think it reads dark because it's like, oh, the Doctor's not worried about anything else, but I think the Doctor's worried about everyone else. But to the point where it's like, this is the fix is that I need the TARDIS. Once we have the TARDIS, everything else doesn't really matter because I know I can get us to safety. I know that wherever we are, I can get us to safety. But if I don't have the TARDIS, then I have a lack of control in the situation. And I think that's when the Doctor starts to realize, like, okay, I've been away from my TARDIS before. I've been away from safety nets before. I just have to reconfigure myself to like focus on the problem at hand and not worry about that. And I think that's what it was. I don't think it was like selfish, like, oh, I just need my TARDIS because whatever. I think it was really just a fear of like, we're gonna be stranded here again. They for real are not gonna mess with me after this. Like, I think it was really just not wanting to be, to like put her companions or her friends in a situation again where there may be a chance that you don't go home. So that fear, I think, was more pronounced, and I really liked it because then you see the moments like toward the end where it's like, no, hope, this is what is important. It's important that we imagine the solution and make it happen. It's like you kind of, the Doctor relearning those things about like how they operate and how they get through things. Like, I don't know why I panicked because we've always figured these things out. So I liked it because it gave us a chance to see kind of relearning that process of like being desperate and then being able to figure out a way out of it.
Do you have a favorite scene in the Tsuranga Conundrum?
Now is when Yaz punched the fucking down the hallway because I for some reason did not remember that, and I was just like, she has it, and she's running down the hall, and she was like, yes, she said, I forgot what she said. She said something. I'm like, is she about to? And then she like, boop, and I'm like, oh, she literally just kicked this living being down this hallway. Like, it was just funny to me because it was just one of those fun random moments, and I'm like, okay, that tracks.
Finally, on a scale of 1 to 10, how convenient is it that this is the second time this season that Team TARDIS get rescued from the middle of nowhere in space?
I mean, at this point, like, if you've been watching the show to this point, like, you're just used to it at this point. I feel like if you're nitpicking about it, you just want to be mad about something. They always get like they have been saved from so much worse. So like, but yeah, it was like back to back. So it was like, oh, they're in the middle. But yeah, to me, I feel like at this point we have seen them come back from way worse than this. It's fine. They tend to have good luck. I think the TARDIS also knows, like, they'll be fine. The TARDIS is, we know the TARDIS is the way. The TARDIS is like, it's cool. This planet's fine. Ship pass by here, they're good. So I'll drop them off and they'll be fine.
Well, Hill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone who has been at our live shows, IRL, not our virtual live shows, this is the first one, knows that in lieu of listeners' letters, we throw to the audience for listener Q&A.
And as ever, to make things interesting, we are offering a prize. Just one moment. We are offering a copy of Robert Smith and my new book, Who is Doctor Who, to the person who asks the most interesting question, as judged by our wise and sagacious adjudicator, our pal, Rachel Donner. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this, Rachel.
Hey, listen, I'll take whatever tiny little bit of power I can get in this universe and run with it.
So you're going to judge wisely and fairly.
That's the plan.
Okay.
So the people in our audience today will be sending us their questions via chat. We have a few already. You can ask us about Reality Bomb, these live shows over Zoom, or just general Doctor Who questions. So, Graham, do you want to pick the first one?
Sure. Okay. We've got one from Marty Hajoski, who's here. He said, as of last week, I have now completed my 2-year pilgrimage to Classic Who, which of course means I've now seen telesnaps included. Sorry, Graham. You're forgiven. The entirety of all televised Doctor Who that I can see. What are your recommendations to the pilgrimage completers on how to best to mark an occasion? Oh, that's a very good question. Joy, you recently, like a couple of years ago, you completed your pilgrimage. What did you do to mark the occasion?
I think I stopped watching a lot of any Doctor Who at all. Realistically, I didn't really do anything. It didn't feel super momentous to me, and I don't know why. I think it was actually just a sad moment in a lot of ways, because when you're doing the pilgrimage and you've never seen any of these episodes, right, we have a huge body of modern Doctor Who that we watch and love, and especially if you come to the show like I did through the new show, you always have this vague sense that there's like a whole back catalog of stories out there that you can watch, and that's part of the excitement of the pilgrimage, is that you're going on this journey and you just get new Doctor Who content all the time. And it was just sad to finish it, so it didn't really feel very celebratory at all. I was kind of like, what was it? I went into, what is that, season 26?
Yeah.
Rachel, you're bad at showrunners and writers. I'm terrible with the numbers. I went into that feeling like very sad. And as much as I loved Battlefield, I just kept feeling like, okay, I have to slow down. So I was trying not to binge it, because it just felt like it's going away so fast.
I'm currently in the middle of doing a pilgrimage. I didn't realize I was, but then I'm now partway through the Pertwee. I'm in season 9 of the Pertwee era, and I am I'm just at the end of series 2 of the modern series. I do the modern series on the weekends, and I do the classic series on weekdays. It's sort of been my lockdown thing, and it's probably going to continue on well after that. So I don't know how I'm going to mark it. I'll probably mark it with some champagne, I imagine, or something like that. But I don't know. Or I may just mark it with a sort of vague feeling of emptiness, like Joy, I guess. I don't know.
I'm sorry, that was a little bleak. To remedy that, I will pick the next question.
Please do.
This one I think is good to lift things up a bit. Nissa McKinnon asks, what is the best cheese to have while listening?
Oh, man. Nissa, there's a website called Scott minus T. I think it's a WordPress site. Anyways, I'll try and make sure it gets in the show notes. It's my friend Scott Clark's website. He did a pilgrimage through the Tom Baker episodes, and he did a pilgrimage through the Pertwee episodes, and he blogged about it. And in his blog with the Pertwee episodes, he actually made sure he had a different wine and cheese every time he watched an episode. And so I defer to him on his cheese expertise. I generally tend to go for an old sharp cheddar most of the time anyways, and so it seems Doctor Who appropriate. I don't know. Joy, what do you think?
Well, I don't necessarily have a specific Doctor Who cheese or like a cheese that I think is appropriate for like specific moments. I probably could if I got like very, very specific, but my favorite cheese just to snack on, you know, so if we're thinking about like a cheese that you consume while, you know, like watching or listening to something else, Murray's cheese, I haven't seen it anywhere else, but Murray's, in the Village sells a cheese called Romano. It's just like a very super aged Gouda, and it's got these like crystals, and it's got a chocolatey taste, and it's very nutty and very delicious. And I haven't had it in a really long time because Murray's is 8 miles away, and that is too far for me right now without public transit. So I highly recommend it if you can find it. It's actually, they sell online. I could just order it, but it's delicious. So snackable. So good.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We have a question from our pal Heather Berberet. She asked us a very practical reality bomb question, which is really great. She said, how far ahead do you plan your episodes? How long does an episode take to put together brainstorming for publication? It really varies from episode to episode, really. What did you say, Joy?
It does. I mean, we basically put this together, on Monday?
Yeah. We literally put this one together on Monday.
This might be the shortest turnaround time ever. But there are times when we start planning, I think like the con safety special had been like 2 months in the works. It really depends on what we're doing and what the content is, I think.
Yeah, I think the con safety one was like 3 or 4 months actually, because it was originally a segment, and then it was going to be a longer segment, and then it became a whole episode, and we kept on sort of changing what we wanted to do. Sometimes episodes percolate for a long time, like we did and they have weird transmogrifications. Like I remember the episode where we interviewed like 50 fans started out originally as a comedy bit. It was going to be, I was going to like go out and talk to fans David Letterman style and say, so how are you doing, guys? You know, do you feel okay? Do you need some help? Do you need a hug? Like, what do you need? It was literally going to be that kind of David Letterman talks to the people kind of segments he used to do in the 80s. And it started as this comedy bit. And then gradually it just kind of, our thinking on it evolved. And the next thing we knew, we were like spending our days and nights and weeks putting together a whole 90-minute documentary about it. So yeah, it kind of varies. But yeah, there's sometimes segments sometimes just sit for a while, and we come back to them, or we try it and it hasn't quite worked. There's been a talk about doing a documentary on tape zines of the 1980s that Warren.
A year and a half.
It's been on our future planning spreadsheet for like
a year and a half.
And we get
I
close.
have actually heard these rumors before.
Yeah, we talked about it at another live show. That's how long ago it was. Like, yeah, but
Indeed.
we keep on coming back to it. So yeah, no, these things take a while. So yeah. Our pal Michelle, 100% certified with an actual certificate, friend of the program, asks us, what was your favorite new content made from the Who lockdown? Ooh, that's a very good question. Goodbye Sarah Jane, probably at the top of my list, and the Madame de Pompadour one. Pompadour was, I think, like Stephen Moffat being the most Stephen Moffat-y Stephen Moffat, and showing that he still got it, which is great. And I cried buckets during Goodbye Sarah Jane, because honestly, and the moment where I really cried buckets was the weirdest one. It's like when you're at a funeral for a friend, and it's seeing someone that used to be from the old days, and so it wasn't all the usual regulars from Sarah Jane Adventures. It was Randy's mom. Gita, and because he was always like the comedy character that showed up, every episode, and it's when she showed up that I just burst into tears. It was very, very, it just wrecked me. And so yeah, so no, the Sarah Jane one was really great, and Pompadour. So those were mine. What about you, Joy?
I feel bad. So number one, I haven't watched a ton of them, to be honest. I think I read Paul's story, one of Paul's stories. What have the other ones been? I mean, I guess if I can't remember any, maybe that says something. But yeah, I don't know that I have a favorite. And it's not that I avoided them for any like particular reason. I think one of the things that was happening, at least for me at the time, like full transparency, is that when the lockdown tweet-along started, I remember feeling like just not in the right headspace for them. And so any of the content that was released along with it, I just wasn't really engaging with because like I just wasn't like emotionally ready to escape into Doctor Who. Like I wasn't necessarily escaping into anything, but that was also like, it all started kind of really at the height of the pandemic in New York, and things were very scary here. And so I just like couldn't get myself in a space where that was comforting at all, because really I just kind of felt like nothing was comforting. And I haven't caught up with any of it yet. I do like, I mean, I know this isn't, I guess this might have been different, but like all of the things that the doctors did, like Jodie's little messages about staying in, that just like reduced me to tears, and seeing all of the doctors talk about the NHS, like also tears. Maybe this is why I stopped watching them. They just were too emotional.
Fair. Is it your turn or my turn? I can't even remember.
I don't know. You go.
Okay, I'll go. So Evan's got the question, do you have a favorite piece of non-podcast Doctor Who fan content? And I had to think about it for a minute, but actually I do. And it is the nerdiest piece of Doctor Who fan content I could possibly say. It is John and Gav do a YouTube video called Terry Nation Army. It is basically, they do a website about the Daleks. They actually have identified which specific Dalek prop is used in each specific Doctor Who story. There's like 8 or 9 props all throughout the classic series. Like it's a ridiculously small number, and they all have distinguishing features if you pause and screenshot carefully. And they've done that, and it's a great website, and you can actually sort of track. And so they did like a series of videos about various things, and they're fascinating videos. Like they're just super nerdy deep dives. Like, you know, what part of the set at Shepperton did they make Daleks Invasion Earth? You know, what was the original draft of, you know, it goes through drafts of scripts, and it goes through all kinds of things. It is such a nerdy deep dive. I live for this shit. So yes, that is wholeheartedly my pick.
That's a good answer. Mine, I mean, I guess this qualifies as fan content. Mine would be, I love following cosplayer accounts. It is a thing that I do not do myself for various like weird personal anxiety reasons. But I love admiring the craft behind it, and I love seeing a good cosplay photo. It's so impressive, the work that some of these fans do, recreating the costumes down to, you know, like the stitching sometimes, and they're so great. In fact, one of the first, I guess, like accounts or things that I followed when I was starting to like wade my way into fandom years ago when I started watching the show was I was following this cosplayer on Tumblr. I think her handle is Lady of Time. In that era, in those years, she was called, her Tumblr was called Oi Matchstick Man. And I saw her at the premiere, the world premiere, or the tour of where they went around and showed Deep Breath. And I remember like, it was like I was seeing a celebrity, and I stopped her like a lunatic. And I just said, I know you from Tumblr. You're amazing. And she looked at me as though I was truly deranged. But I got to tell her that I admired her work, and she's a great cosplayer. I think if you've been to Galley, you've seen her. I think her name is Elizabeth. And yeah, I think their work is amazing. Really, really fun to follow all those accounts.
Oh, Sarah Murphy asks us, if you could have one item of merch, prop, costume item already produced or completely new, what would it be? This is the easiest answer in the world. It's a TARDIS, baby. I have been living to get a full-size TARDIS. My wife has promised me that eventually, if we have a big enough backyard, we can make the shed. Maybe I could do it as a shed. I have one of my best friends has indicated his willingness to build such a thing. Yeah, I would absolutely love to have a police box. I own the actual architectural plans for the actual London Metropolitan Police Box. It is on my wall over there, actually. So yeah, I am totally obsessed with that. I would absolutely, in a heartbeat, have a TARDIS if I could find the space in which to have it built. So there you go. What about you, Joy?
I'm gonna cheat. It's technically more than one, but if we think about it as a body of work, then we can say one. I want every single item that Jenna Coleman ever wore on the show.
Okay.
Everything she's ever worn. I love all of the clothes that she's ever worn. Like the way that they styled her is amazing. And because she is also a short girl, I think that a lot of the way that she is styled very much suits me and like my personal aesthetic. And I just want all of her stuff. So that is one item for me.
Okay. We're going to do a quick rapid fire round of some answers.
Sure.
So Michelle asks, are Alex's jeans really that tight? Yes, they are. Marty Hodjowski asks, whatever happened to the Reality Bomb cocktail contest, by the way? My cocktail glass is away from building. It is, we are doing it. I think we're actually pretty close to having a winner on it, but we're waiting to have our a live show, an actual live show in real life to actually announce the winner. So yes. Nissa asks, how young would an actor be before you would not believe she was the Doctor? I don't know. Matt Smith kind of came in and defied all expectations, so I give up answering that question.
I mean, realistically, like in the world of the show, like if it happened on the actual show, I would believe, like any actor, right, playing the Doctor in the narrative, I'll believe as long as the story works. I think, I don't know that the show would work. I think I'd be very skeptical and be one of those awful fans who would be, maybe a little grumpy if they cast anyone younger than in their 20s, because I think that there's a different kind of acting that happens and a little bit of different kind of like performance that you get out of most people when they are older. I love teenagers. I work with them. But there is a different set of life experience that people get when they're older that I think really lends itself to a show like Doctor Who.
I think what happened was I just sort of aged myself out of, when David Tennant was cast, he was like 2 years younger than me. And so I'd finally hit that point where finally actors were being cast as Doctor Who that were much younger than me. And then Matt Smith was cast, and whoa boy. And now I'm, so now I've kind of, and Jodie Whittaker is like a good 20 years younger than me. So at this point I'm kind of, I kind of have aged myself out of being able to have anything decent to say about it.
Jodie's basic, I think she's 3 years older than I am. Just terrifying.
Your time for this will come, Joy.
I know, I guess. Michelle, we will definitely get to your question in a different segment, so we're gonna put a pin in it. And let's let Marty's be the last question. What piece of Doctor Who, be it a quote or an episode or a performance or anything really, excepting the lockdown content already mentioned, have you found most inspirational to you during the last few months?
Okay. Two things come immediately to mind. The first is Doctor Who Blackout, which I thought was an amazing bit of activism and raised a hell of a lot of money for just watching 4 hours of Doctor Who for a lot of really great organizations. And honestly, I really enjoyed the tweet along on Twitter. And I had nothing to do with the organizing of it. I just basically showed up but I have to say, Joy and Nicole and all the others who were involved in that were just did a really great thing, and they raised an amazing amount of money. So that inspired me. And there's something else later on in this episode that also inspired me, and you get to hear it then. So there you go.
I don't have a good answer for this. I really did avoid Doctor Who for quite some time. I'm not gonna lie. I guess like probably same Graham, like co-sign what Graham just said. I think doing that event was really fun, and just seeing people, honestly, like if we're gonna boil it down, like I'll zoom in on Graham's answer. Sarah Dollard's participation in the blackout was exemplary. Like everything we could have wished for her to do, she did. She was not only sharing like really interesting behind the scenes information, but interspersing that with advocacy for various Black Lives Matter groups, causes. She brought in information about anti-Black racism in Australia. Like she just killed it and was amazing and so generous with her time, and really, like I can't say enough. Such a lovely person. I say this every time I talk about Sarah Dollard, but she also has a great dog. So like, go follow her on Twitter, because she posts pictures of
it's true.
her beautiful Chihuahua.
And the only Doctor Who thing I can think of that I watched that really kind of moved me was I watched Love and Monsters last weekend as part of my rewatch, and I don't know why, but the scene where Elton recalls the death of his mother wrecked me completely. I can't even begin to describe how emotional it made me, and I think it just basically was all the pent-up emotion of everything that's been going on in the world. So for the catharsis of that, and honestly, Elton's speech at the end about how the world is madder and more amazing than you think. Yeah, I kind of that kind of inspired me too. So I'll just to give a little bit of Doctor Who content along with the amazing fandom content. So there you go. And,
all right.
Alrighty. And so now the moment of truth. Rachel Donner, what do you think? Who do you think asked the most interesting question today?
It's a lot of choices.
I know there's some really good questions.
Do not nurse out on this like Simon Fraser did at the.
No, oh God, no! I'm picking one and one only. There's definitely in my head. I had it narrowed down to two of them, but I'm so sorry to everybody else who asked really thoughtful and amazing questions. But I just freaking love cheese. So Nissa. You win. And Joy's answer talking about Murray's and cheese. I love cheese. Sorry. It's a great question.
That's a statement I can fully endorse. So, yeah.
All righty.
Well, congratulations, Nissa. We will get a copy of the book out to you next week. Graham is going to do that. I do not have the copy.
Yeah, that's all me.
I have a copy. I just don't have your copy. And of course, you can always offer your own thoughts by sending us an email to realitybomb@smallstockproductions.com, commenting on our website at realitybombpodcast.com, or talking to us on Facebook or Twitter. Our handle for both is realitybombpc.
And that's all one word.
One way or another, I'm gonna find ya. I'm gonna get you one way or another. I'm gonna win ya. I'll get you one way or another. I'm gonna see ya. I'm gonna meet you one day, maybe next week.
Anyone who has been to Gallifrey 1 in Los Angeles or LIHU has seen our friends Sage Young and Kim Rogers moderate a main stage panel called This or That, where they offer some binary choices to convention guests with usually hilarious and sometimes surprising results.
Well, we have both Sage and Kim here on a live Zoom show, so we thought, why not have them do a Doctor Who and fandom themed version of this for us right now? So we're going to turn things over to Kim and Sage. Ladies, the segment is yours.
Okay, so what's great about this, when you asked us to do this, is that like when we do it on stage with guests, there are certain things that you're not allowed. Not allowed. It's not like anybody says you can't ask this or that, but like you don't want to put anybody on the spot to like be in a situation where they're professionally like at odds with someone else. Like like we try to be. And also a lot of, like, we say up front, like, we're not going to ask you a lot of Doctor Who questions because you talk about Doctor Who during the con. So anyway, what is delightful about this is that we can ask you guys all of the questions that we don't let ourselves ask the guests because we don't want to put them on the spot. So we get to do that now to you, because who cares? Because we don't have representation or managers or agents or publicists breathing down our necks. But I'm going to start out really, really easy fandom-wise. Do you lobby con all day or hit all the panels? Anyone who wants to speak up first.
I'm going to jump in, split the difference. Sorry. If I have to choose one, panels.
All right.
You have to choose one. No one here is Nicola Bryant, who is like our nightmare on this or that.
But I'm daytime panels, nighttime lobby.
Yeah, like the truthful answer is split the difference. But if I've got to like only choose one forever for the rest of my life, panels. That's what that's why I'm at the con.
Because we know people, like I know people who won't go to an entire panel, an entire convention.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I am not one of those people. I'm the person who goes to the cons that none of you guys like because I like the panels on them. So this yeah, I'm totally a panel guy.
Yeah, I go to Comic-Con and sit in Hall H all day.
Yeah.
It's like panel all day. I don't shop. I shop for like 1 hour and I'm like, let me go sit back down. So yeah, I'm good with panel.
Love it.
Nicole, we would be like great Comic-Con friends.
I know, right?
I like to I park it. I'm like, I'm here.
Ballroom 20, sit down.
Yeah, like I pick one. You gotta pick one, but once you pick it, that's where I'm at all day. I'm like, oh, you want food? Okay, I'm gonna go get me some food.
That's why you have snacks. You walk around like half of your backpack is like snacks.
People don't know, like you have to come prepared. You have to bring your little Chex Mix, and you do a little granola bars, water,
goldfish crackers, all of it. Rachel, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I'm definitely at panels because, like, I'm like Graham. It's like panels during the day, lobbycon at night. But I'm a panels person.
Surprised me that we're all panel people.
We're doing a podcast and we're all people,
right?
This one is slightly pointed, but is super fun. Moderating a panel about the female doctor and whether or not we should have one, or sitting in the audience through an awkward interview.
I have done both.
I know, that's why it's pointed.
I feel very seen right now. Both are hellish for different reasons. I believe I described moderating the panel as being like in Billy Joel's Good Night Saigon. So, yep. I'm going to take, but I am going to take moderating the doctor panel over it because honestly, it's so painful watching a bad interview happen, and it is, you know, you can at least get up and leave. I suppose makes it more preferable, but for me, it's just like, there's nothing worse to me than watching a bad interview happen. I hate it. So yeah, that's me. I don't know. What do you guys think? What did you guys do theoretically?
Moderating, because at least I have some type of voice in the situation. And I can be like, hey, y'all need to refocus this. Like I feel like watching, you're just like somebody please. So I think at least for me, like I feel like at least I could try. Like let's do something. Whereas in the audience, you're just like, did somebody work here? Like what are y'all doing? Like, stay moderating.
I'm gonna be like just continuing this line. Same. I would much rather moderate. I need full control over things. Again, Clara Oswald. There's a reason why I love her. Yeah, moderating any day. I can't stand to sit through something that I just have to watch and be angry about.
Yeah, I have to go with moderating too because like secondhand embarrassment is the worst thing for me. I cannot deal with other people like making a fool of themselves. Like I can make a fool of myself and it's fine. But like watching somebody else do it is like I can't do it.
So are you an everyone is entitled to their own opinion kind of person, or you're wrong and here's all the reasons why?
Well, I'm clearly the second one. I have hard opinions, and everybody's opinions are not valid. So I will argue the point if I have to.
Yeah, in
like,
theory,
you're entitled to it.
In theory, I aspire to be an everyone is entitled to their own opinion person, but in reality, I am a like, no, you're wrong. Let me sit you down and give you a point by point analysis of everything you're wrong about.
Right. Like I respect the opinion. you are entitled to the opinion, but I'm not entitled to have to listen to it or agree with it. And I think the difference between like being entitled to having it and me having to listen to it is where the line is. Like, you can have it all day, but I don't have to listen to it, and I don't have to agree with it, and I don't have to give it any weight or value in my life.
Yeah, and the thing is like some people, what they think is an opinion is in fact like an incorrect statement.
Right. Like
that is the thing. Yes, it's just like factually incorrect, but they're putting it in their head as an opinion, and you're like, no, you are wrong.
Like, these are actual facts, and then these are your opinions, and those can't disagree. Like, you don't have to like the fact, but you can't disagree with the fact.
I admire you so much, Nicole. I'm afflicted with being, on the one hand, I guess I am known for having forthright views because I've written books with forthright views in them, but at the same time, I'm a conflict-averse centrist. So it's a really bad dichotomy. I sometimes don't know which version of myself I am, and I find it hard. So probably not the forthright opinion guy, probably, I'd say.
You just want to like keep the peace to some degree.
Yes.
Well, and we have this whole podcast where you invite people to share their opinions, and you challenge them to articulate it, but you don't challenge people in a way that's like, are you sure this is right? Like, this is like your
my attitude is like, hey, if you want to come on and explain why you think the 12th Doctor is Bill's dad, by all means, go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the platform.
And that's
have 5 minutes to go do an editorial about it.
And that's why, that's the important thing of the dichotomy there, of being like, you can believe, but back it the fuck up. Yeah. And then it's like, if they have the wrong facts, you can be like, but your facts are wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, you can do both. Why not both?
This is your game.
This is your game. Yeah. We were told we can't do both.
I know.
I do both all the time.
To pivot to like a real head over feels style question, David Tennant's hair or Peter Capaldi's hair? And like,
such an impossible.
Like the fro. I mean, that's what, when I think of Peter's hair, I think of like really the bigger the hair, like the closer to God kind of.
Yeah.
His hair is really good right now.
Is that a hard one? Is it not Capaldi?
Yeah.
See, that might be because
co-signed.
Curly is much more appealing, I guess. I mean, this is my type of curly, but I mean, I like. I don't think that's even hard at all to me.
David uses too much product for my taste.
Yeah, it's very
fondness for the way he looked in his very first season. Because it didn't hair. It didn't have as much product. It was a little looser and flowier, and then they just like gave him like full on like Astro Boy, like the little
like if you touch it, it just
that's honestly like that's what middle school boys looked like when I was in middle school.
Literally, that's I'm like, that's like Dragon Ball Z hair. Like I just imagine somebody running. I don't. Yeah. So
Capaldi, obviously.
Okay.
We have
Capaldi, yes.
Here's the thing.
Yes, Rachel.
If we're saying season 9 only, I will give it to Peter Capaldi. But I do not like his hair shorter than that. I do not like it longer than that. And if we're talking the full breadth of their time on the show, I have to go with Tennant.
Oh.
Wow.
I have thought about this. I have thought about this.
No, I agree.
That season 9 is the perfect length for his hair.
Well, and his hair changes lengths all through series 8 because of like the shooting order.
Right.
Yeah. Like it's big in it's bigger in Mummy than it is in Flatline. Because Flatline, his hair is real short.
Right.
When he does like his little dance in the TARDIS.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so his varies, but yeah, I agree series 9. Now, bonus question since we're talking about hair, what are we thinking about David Tennant's quarantine hair?
Oh God.
A+.
Yes. It's luscious. It's beautiful.
And
it's
the beard,
flowing.
all of it.
It's really the facial hair bringing it together.
Yeah.
See?
Facial hair.
It's a bit too slick for me. It's a bit too slick for me. I have to say, the only time I have an opinion on hairstyling is when I talk to you guys and when I'm watching Project Runway with my wife. And those are the only two occasions when I actually talk about this sort of thing.
Bring it up.
So there you go.
Can we just like the Instagram that Georgia posted, as Sage
Listen.
always says, like, what an ally.
Georgia is always like, my husband looks hot today. Would all of you like to see it? And we're all like, yes, Georgia.
Yes, please.
Yes, we would. Thank you.
That's why the greatest convention would be if Sean Lyon was able to book like David and Georgia, together.
Yeah.
Right, they'd have to bring the whole family.
They would have to bring the whole family. And
Imagine if we got Georgia for this or that.
oh my God, Georgia Tennant on this or that would, like, I'm putting that out into the universe.
Yeah.
One day, like,
Speak it.
I don't know if we would be able to handle David.
No. No. I want to start with Georgia. I want to get things indirectly from her.
We want to get our like sitting on his voice is like sitting on the washing machine moment that we got. I'll go mad about it's mine, and I'm gonna do the share a screen. So let's see if this works.
This is like the ultimate question. I truly.
We thought of this like this morning, and to where I like texted Joy, and I was like, "Is there any way we can do some sort of like audio, this or that?" So we're gonna see if this works.
Okay.
So you have to pick between the two of these.
Okay. We're ready.
Doctor in distress. Let's all answer his SOS. Doctor in distress. Bring him back now, we won't take less.
Okay, so that or
so many options.
Hold on.
Yeah, you got it. You're doing great.
Oh boy. Oh Lord.
Our nightmare of every dance party. Which one of these do you choose? If you have to, and you have to choose one.
Okay.
There's
fair.
no like pussying out on this one.
Okay.
Rachel Donner hates us right now. Like, I'm looking
Yeah, well, let me tell you that it's an easy choice for me. Only like I have to pick Doctor in Distress because the other one is based on Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2, and he's a pedophile, and that's gross, and that's all that makes me think of, and so I refuse to listen to that.
Good answer.
Solid reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, I have a terrible sense memory now of that the second song coming on at the dance party and just feeling like all the air gets sucked out of the room. So Doctor in Distress by default, but also like it is more melodically pleasing. It does more. So, you know, I'm always willing to follow my heart when it comes to song and melody. And also, yeah, just total trauma hearing.
I'm gonna borrow the hat of my Deeper Cuts co-host Rob Jones now. But Doctor in Distress was co-produced by Ian Levine, obviously, but and Fiacra Trench, who has done a lot of credible albums. She worked on Fiacra Trench worked on Van Morrison's one of Van Morrison's best albums, Poetic Champions Compose. John O'Connor just pointed out to me the long song. Very, very credible musicianship is actually going in back of a really terrible novelty song. So I go for great musicianship plus terrible novelty song every time. You saw how I danced out to that song. And honestly, one of my all-time favorite Reality Bomb live show when we do a cold open and we sing a Doctor Who novelty song. One of my all-time favorites was the one where Shannon and I did Doctor in Distress. So yeah, Doctor in Distress every time.
Good call.
Without the information that I now have, because Rachel, I would have chose that song because Doctor in Distress is like it's giving me the same energy as like Baby Shark, which is like I don't want that stuck in my head, and that's the main thing. So I would have chosen the other one just because it's like background noise to me because I watch like movies and stuff, and it's like yeah, and I can just keep typing like I can mute it out, but the other one would just be nagging. Like Doctor in Distress would be in my
like earwormy.
subconscious.
Yeah,
And I would
you're not wrong.
Then I would have to play it, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm saying it. Like it's just it would. But because I have new information, I'm gonna have to pick that one. But you know the answer based on what I just said.
Either one should never come on at the dance parties. Is
Generally speaking, yes.
what we're
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
never a good sign
No,
if your DJ is playing either one of these.
And the DJs at Galley usually love to play the Doctor Who multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's like
they bring
It's awful.
I think it's
Stop it. Stop that.
People who get so excited, like they get amped every time it starts, and you're like, "What is your life that you are just like, yeah?"
I think that's what spurred like the photo shoot at the last Galley of all of us like on the floor.
Yeah, because we sat down. We were like, we're not dancing to this.
It's funny
We're,
because
like in protest.
Oh,
All right, I am gonna say this one is probably maybe it's not easy. I don't know. Old carpet or new carpet?
oh, I wasn't. I didn't see the new carpet this year at Galley.
Okay, I'm gonna go first because I actually have this. This should have been my confession dial thing. Oh my god, I don't like the old Marriott carpet. I think it's heinous and so ugly, and I prefer the new one. I don't think it looks good. It's kind of also gross looking because it's just like terrible design. I don't like that old carpet. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know it means a lot to so many people. I just can't look at it.
I don't get this carpet worship thing to begin with.
Yeah,
so
I don't have
yeah.
I don't have any feelings about it.
Thank you, Nicole.
It goes like it's not. I mean, without like the context of the con, if I saw that, I would be like, no. Like, let's go ahead and pull that up and get this new jump. But yeah, I think that I can't even remember. I guess it's good that you can't remember the new carpet, and then I mean it's like unoffensive. It's fine.
It's got all this like stripy.
Yeah, it's like it's in the background. I don't notice. I think if you notice the carpet, that's probably actually not good.
Which is the problem with the old carpet.
Right,
That's what
like,
we're saying here.
I shouldn't be able to conjure the image of the carpet in my mind because it's a carpet, right? Like you're walking on it. It's not. It shouldn't be like I should remember other design features in the building, and all I can think of is like I can remember this like kind of swirly carpet, and that's actually weird because that's the only carpet I can in my mind picture. Like, oh, I have that. I can't think of any carpet anywhere else. Literally.
Yeah,
anywhere else.
this is true.
I have squares of it in my apartment.
I know.
John O'Connor just said on the chat that he's getting a mask that in the pattern. I'm like,
I'm getting a tattoo as soon as I'm allowed.
Same. I like picked out like a piece of the pattern that I've like had it stored on my phone, and it's going on like the inside of my ankle.
And it's
just
not because I think it's the most beautiful carpet in the world.
Yeah, it means something to you.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Without the context of like,
Right, yeah.
That was my first year. Was the last year of the carpet. So like, I didn't have time to like connect with it. It was just a carpet. But you know, like you've been coming for a couple of years, and it's like, right? Like you have like something like that you're attached to about it. That makes sense to me. But like, yeah, just as a plain design, it's like completely offensive. It's not a good. It's not good.
I mean, I haven't been to Galley in 2 years, but my opinion on the redesign of the lobby was that it was from the people who thought the Ark in Space was a cool design aesthetic. So I am not surprised that the rest of the hotel is designed similar.
My sort of final take about the carpet is that the thing I've noticed, especially this past year, because we had the new carpet, but a lot of people created design things like ribbons or pins or whatever based on the old carpet. That pattern and that design works so well small. Like there's some really fun stuff that people did. And I think it actually looked really cool small. And especially like to Kim's point about the potential tattoo, if you pick like the exact right section of it, it actually has some really cool patterns in it and it works small, but large as carpet is really not that good. It's just ugly.
I agree with that.
I will say the new carpet was very plush under my feet.
It was nice and plush.
During the dance party.
It'll get like stamped down after.
Yeah. Eventually it's going to become the old carpet at some point.
Right.
So,
all carpet is the old carpet.
To somebody.
That's your ribbon. That's a ribbon.
All carpet is the old
all carpet is the old carpet.
Old carpet.
Wow.
Everyone's
well,
like, wow, you're bored.
And on that note, that's the sketch.
that is this or that. So, well, thank you, panel, for taking part, and thank you, Sage and Kim, for doing this.
And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. We gonna rise up, time to take a shot. We gonna rise up, time to take a shot.
So Graham and I have been doing these Zoom live shows throughout the pandemic because they help us hold on to what makes doing the show fun without as much of the stress of what it takes to make a regular episode. I can only speak for myself, but I love producing Reality Bomb because it's a way to geek out about a show I deeply love. By stripping away the harder parts of the work, we're allowing ourselves to find comfort from this space. I think that's why the lockdown tweet-alongs were so popular. It's fun to watch and discuss the show with other fans. It feels good. Sometimes, though, the show itself or fandom can make it hard to focus on the fun. On May 30th, it was announced that the final tweet-along would be World Enough and Time and the Dr. Falls, with Stephen Moffat, Rachel Talalay, Pearl Mackie, and Matt Lucas participating. This was a mere 5 days after George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, followed by 4 straight days of protests against police brutality around the US. Protests that continue to this day all over the world 3 weeks later. I actually saw the announcement about the tweet-along the next day. I'll admit, I'm very sheltered inside a mostly like-minded group of fans, so I was surprised to see that anyone would think fandom could unite around episodes where the violent death of the first Black queer companion is a catalyst for the rest of the plot. I remember bitter arguments about the story when it first aired. Surely it was widely known there would be some fans who couldn't bear to watch Bill Potts with a hole in her chest for a communal fan watch. The replies under the announcement tweet were excited and grateful. The only hint of negativity was from fans asking why this had to be the last one. I felt tired. Too tired to even sort through how I was feeling, so I let it go. The next day, though, after venting and brainstorming, I, along with some of my friends in the Black Girls Create Slack, decided that calling for cancellation of the lockdown tweet-along would never be as meaningful as creating a space for ourselves where we could feel good amongst friends. Rather than reopen an old argument about 3-year-old episodes, we planned our own party for the same time, a marathon of shows chosen by Black fans that we would use as an opportunity to amplify organizations doing work that supports the Black Lives Matter movement. Nicole Hill called it a Black Girls Create community collaboration, which was apt. She and I, along with the other main collaborators, Ty Gooden from Nerdist, Robin Jordan from Black Girls Create, and the hosts of the Queer Archive podcast, Caitlin Seitz and Brenna Jones, promoted the hashtag Doctor Who Blackout on Twitter. Of course, by Tuesday, a small number of mostly white fans started wondering if this was the right moment to use World Enough in Time and the Dr. Falls for the last tweet-along. Some asked for it to be replaced or canceled. That night, Nicole posted a searing essay on why those episodes were a terrible choice. It started to make the rounds, and as people read it, a lot more were convinced. It struck me, though, that while some white fans started calling for the episodes to be canceled, women and non-binary BIPOC, as always, went outside the established system to create something for ourselves. Every day, in all aspects of our lives, we move through an unjust society that is set up to keep us below others. And we're very aware of it because there are constant reminders at work, school, public transit, shopping, restaurants. It's an exhausting fight and unfairly places the labor on our shoulders. But that's the fight we need to be in and the work we must do. It's not our job to make Doctor Who fandom a welcoming place for us. You know, the thing that really bothered me in the past couple weeks was the response to the World Enough in Time cancellation announcement, the mini-sode, The Best of Days, which was produced for the canceled event, and the official Doctor Who Black Lives Matter statement. All were ostensibly statements of solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement. All received praise and thanks for their work, but those statements were hollow, all surface-level words with no actions to back them up. If the cancellation announcement truly exhibited allyship, it would have definitively stated that those episodes perpetuate dangerous tropes. Instead, We got something that made it sound like systemic racism is a fleeting tragedy that we need to be sensitive to now, but we can enjoy those episodes later. If the Best of Days demonstrated allyship, Bill Potts would have been unequivocal about the Black Lives Matter protest she's implied to have attended. Without context, for all we know, she's at a protest to protect the statue of Churchill. If the official Doctor Who Black Lives Matter statement was a communication of allyship, it would have admitted the mistakes the show has made in the past, and it wouldn't have been 2 weeks late. It might also have been tied to material action, but whatever. Those statements were praised because they did the bare minimum and appeared to be supportive of Black Lives Matter. It made me wonder, do those fans who expressed pride in the show for those statements understand what actual allyship looks like? If Doctor Who fans who think of themselves as allies don't know how to do the work beyond retweeting BIPOC fans and supporting the current diverse cast and crew, then we may never have an inclusive fan space. Being an ally is work, it's action, and it doesn't stop. Learning to be an ally is an iterative process. As a teacher, I assure you that unless you practice and reflect on your actions, you won't learn anything. This is not to say I have it down pat either. I'm also learning every day and working to dismantle the anti-Black racism that I was raised with. It's hard and it's not fun when I mess up. It makes you feel like garbage. But in those moments, we have to remember it's not about us. It's about making the world a place we want to live in. So, what can you, as a white fan, do to make Doctor Who fandom anti-racist? If you're even a little bit on social media, you will have seen a lot of posts with steps on how to be a white anti-racist ally and or work for racial justice and inclusion. I'm going to try and make it really simple for you and specific to Doctor Who fandom. Number 1, widen your circle. It's scary and really hard to make friends as an adult, but if you're in fan spaces, either online or at conventions, and the only faces you see are faces that look like yours, start to ask yourself why. And then seek out the spaces that are inclusive and make friends. Understand you will put your foot in your mouth. Be prepared to listen to how you can make it right. Number 2, learn with your white friends to watch the show with an intersectional feminist lens. You can't read your way through the anti-racist reading list and pat yourself on the back for a job well done. Annotate the text, talk about it with friends, think deeply with other white people about the learning you're doing, and then apply it to the media you consume. BIPOC notice and talk about racism in Doctor Who because we live it, and so we know it when we see it. You too can learn to see it, but it takes deliberate and focused work. Number 3, speak up and show up. Once you start watching the show through an intersectional feminist lens, use that knowledge to speak up the next time you see a racist joke on Twitter from that guy who's actually a troll. Show up to support BIPOC. How do we do this? Remember those friends I asked you to make? Invite them on your podcast. Commission an essay from them for your blog. Suggest them as a moderator or interviewing gig at a convention. Be there for them when some troll is in their mentions challenging their personal experiences. To all of the non-Black POC fans out there, a lot of the above applies to us too. Most importantly, remember that there's strength in numbers. Solidarity with our Black friends and fandom is the only way that we will create truly inclusive spaces. If it doesn't work for them, it doesn't work for any of us. Finally, to my Black friends in fandom, you don't need advice from me. You've been speaking up for yourselves every step of the way. So instead, I want to thank you all for your work and your voices. Thank you for creating safe spaces. Thank you for leading the way. And thank you for showing us that we can make a better fandom.
I wish I could say.
You've been listening to Reality Bomb 080, a shelter-in-place edition recorded live over Zoom. This episode has been written and produced by Graham Burke and myself, Joy Piedmont. The video edition is produced and edited by Warren Fry. Our thanks to our lovely panelists, Kim Rogers, Sage Young, Rachel Donner, Nicole Hill, and Alex Kennard. And special thanks to Brenna Jones and Caitlin Seitz for their editorial input. Reality Bomb will be back in a bit with episode 081. In the meantime, stay well, really stay well, all of you. Wear your masks, wash your hands. And remember, in the words of David Gooderson Stavros, bah! Humans do not understand logic. And that's the show, everyone.
Yay! I drank the whole bottle of wine.
Joy, this is like the second episode in a row where Bill Evenson was a no-show. Like, where the hell do you think he is?
I don't know. After last time when he claimed to have been thrown into an alternate reality with a so-called episode of The Highlanders, I'm sure he's sleeping it off somewhere.
Yeah, well, more than likely. Okay, well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, man. The Kubliani Syndicate does not mess around. They roughed me up but good. And they threatened, well, let's just say it was something quite personal. So I had no choice. I had to give them a copy of the Space Pirates I've been secretly hoarding. But the joke's on them because it's the Space Pirates. And then I had to hitch a ride home from the middle of nowhere. And you really don't want to know what I had to do for that. Oh, did I mention the Kubliani Syndicate took my pants? Guys, are you there? Oh, come on. You fucking